everyone! Today I'm going to show you how to make this amigurumi octopus. It's really easy to make and only takes a few basic stitches, and it's actually pretty quick to make too. Alright, let's go over our materials. The first thing you're going to need is some yarn, and you're going to need it in technically 3 different colors, but so you need it in 3 colors. You absolutely have to have black. The black is only for this. That's it. That's all the black is for. So if you don't have a lot of black, that's fine. It's just for that. All right, and then you're gonna need 2 main colors, and I'm using pink and dark pink. You don't have to use pink if you don't like. You can use actually whatever color you like because, you know, it's just an octopus. You can make it whatever color you like. Unlike my other tutorials where we're making something kind of like a specific character, this one, the colors are pretty free. And I am using this is yarn. These are both Yarn Bee Soft Secret. These are medium weight yarns, number 4 medium weight yarns. And this is my preferred yarn brand. And then you are going to need a crochet hook. This is a size G 4mm crochet hook. This is a little bit smaller than what my yarn calls for, but I prefer to use a slightly smaller hook than most yarn brands call for. You will also need a knitting needle or a blunt embroidery needle to sew everything in place. You are also going to need some super glue. This is optional. I prefer to super glue the spots on instead of sewing the spots on. If you want to sew the spots on, you can sew them and you won't need the super glue, but I prefer to super glue. And then the next optional item are pipe cleaners. These are just like the little wire pipe cleaners that you can get at the craft store. And what we're using these for is we're going to put them in the tentacles so that you can bend the tentacles whichever way you like. And then the last thing you're going to need, or sorry, not the last thing, you are also going to need a pair of 12mm safety eyes with their associated backs. You're going to need 2. And then the last thing we're going to need is some toy stuffing or some yarn scraps so that you can stuff everything. And that is everything we should need to make this amigurumi octopus. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is make the tentacles. I have made 7 already, and I'm going to show you how to make the 8th one, and then you can rewind this video and watch as many times as you need to get the 8. It's pretty easy, so you probably just get it in like 1 or 2 tries and then you'll have it memorized how to make them. So starting with whatever color yarn you've chosen, I'm using pink. We're going to do pretty much what we do in every single tutorial, which is to make a slip knot. So wrap it around your finger and pull the tail through the loop. Let me just zoom in a little bit. That's better. Okay, so stick your hook through and tighten it down. And now we're going to chain 4. So yarn over, chain 1, 2, 3, and 4. And again, if you're new to crochet and you want to learn these stitches in a little bit more in depth, you can always refer to my basic stitches for amigurumi video, which will go through pretty much all the stitches you're going to need to do almost any of my tutorials in slow motion so that you can really learn them. But for now, I'm just going to go over them briefly. So we've chained 4, and now we're going to stick our hook through this first chain that we made. Pull our yarn through and slip stitch. Okay, so we've made a ring. And then we're going to single crochet 6 into this ring. If you prefer to use the magic ring technique, you can also just do a magic ring with 6 single crochets in it, but I prefer to do this way. So we're going to single crochet 6. So go into the center of your ring, pull your yarn through, single crochet 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So we've single crocheted 6. Now the next thing we're going to do is increase so that we'll have 8. So we're going to increase on every multiple of 4. So we're going to single crochet 2, then increase, then single crochet 2 and increase. And that should land us increasing on every multiple of 4. So we're going to increase from 6 to 8. So in this first stitch from your hook, just put your hook through. So I accidentally slip stitched. Okay, there we go. And single crochet 1, 2, and in this next stitch our increase. So, sorry, it's always really difficult when it's tiny like this. All right, there we go. So we, in this stitch, have 3, and our increase in the same stitch for 4. In the next stitch is 5, 6, 7, and in this same stitch our increase for 8. So now we have 8 stitches. And now we're going to do 2 rounds of 8 stitches. So we're going to single crochet 16 stitches just continuously around. So we single crochet 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 14, 15, and 16. So you just single crocheted 16. And one thing that I want to point out, I haven't actually pointed this out in any of my previous tutorials, but it occurred to me this morning when I was planning this tutorial that I should probably mention this. As you're crocheting, if you're new to amigurumi, sometimes you end up crocheting from the inside like this. You don't want to do that. So if you notice that you're sticking your hook from the inside to the outside and crocheting that way, just flip your work inside out so that you're crocheting from the outside to the inside, or sorry, yeah, from the outside like this, and then pulling it through back to the outside. That's just a little tip. That way, when you're doing these tutorials, if you notice that yours isn't looking like mine or something's a little weird, that might be why. When I started crocheting, it took me a while to figure that out. And so I would do a lot of tutorials and mine wouldn't look like theirs and I wouldn't know why. And then after a couple tries, I realized, oh my gosh, it's because I'm totally doing it the wrong way and nobody ever said anything. So yes, you go so that you're coming from the outside and not working from the inside like that. So make sure that you're going in from the outside. And as we're still beginning like this, you can easily flip it inside out and be fine. Okay. So now that we've gotten that out of the way, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to increase. We're going to do another increase round. And we're going to increase from 8 to 10. So we're going to increase on every multiple of 5. So we single crochet 1, 2, 3, 4, and in the same stitch we're going to increase for 5. In the next stitch, 6, 7, 8, 9, and our increase in the same stitch for 10. So we've just increased to 10, and now we're going to do, just like we did before, we're going to do 2 rounds continuously crocheting. So in this case, you would crochet until you have 20 stitches. So 2 rounds of 10 stitches for 20 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 19, and 20. Okay, so I've just crocheted 20 stitches. Now we're going to do our last increase round, and we're going to increase from 10 to 12, so we're going to increase on every multiple of 6. So in the first stitch, we single crochet 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and in the same stitch, increase for 6. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and in the same stitch increase for 12. And we just did our last increase round. Now we're gonna do another couple rounds of crocheting continuously. So this time we're actually gonna do 3 rounds. 3 rounds continuously, so that would be 36 stitches. So just do 1 stitch in each until you've reached 36. 1, 2, 3, 35, and 36. All right, so we just single crocheted 36 and we are all done. So you just slip stitch to finish it off. And then take kind of a, not a super long tail, but maybe like that long or so. The reason why we're gonna take kind of this medium length tail is because we're gonna stick these pipe cleaners down in here, but the issue is that sometimes the wire from the pipe cleaner will stick out of the bottom and stab you, which you don't want. So in order to prevent that from happening, we're actually going to take this tail and stuff it down in the bottom so that it creates a little bit of padding, which is why you want kind of like not a super long tail, because you don't want it so stuffed that you can't get the pipe cleaner in there, but at the same time you want it so that there's a little bit of a pad between the end of the tentacle and the beginning of the pipe cleaner so that it doesn't stick out and stab you. Because that happened to me and it hurts. So just make sure that you pat it just a little bit. So now I have 8. If this is whatever number you're on, just go back and repeat this part of the tutorial until you have 8. If you have 8, then we can move on. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to crochet just a small round piece that's going to go in the center of all your tentacles, that all the tentacles are going to be attached to, so that it's connected in the middle without making the tentacles too tight together. Because when I was doing like the prototype for this pattern, I just crocheted them all together and it ended up just like, they were just like, you know, I can't really do it like with my finger, but they were like too tight together. So we're going to crochet a little piece that is going to connect them all without making them too tight. And it's really simple to make, and it's going to be really quick. So just make your slip knot and put your hook through and chain 4. 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then slip stitch to join the chains. And now, normally we would single crochet 6 at this time. Right now we're actually going to single crochet 8. So stick your hook in and single crochet 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Okay, so we just single crochet 8. Now in this next round, we're going to do an increase round, and we're going to increase from 8 to 16. So we're going to increase in every single one of these stitches. So we're going to single crochet 2 into every stitch. So in the first stitch, we single crochet 1 and 2. In the next stitch is 3 and 4. In the next stitch is 5 and 6, 7 and 8, 9 and 10, 11 and 12, 13 and 14, 15 and 16. So now we have 16 stitches. Let's just count to make sure. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. 16 stitches. All right, and we are all done with this piece. So slip stitch to join them together. And then break kind of a long tail because we're going to use this tail to sew the tentacles to this piece. So, I mean, it doesn't have to be super long, but, you know, long enough that you can sew. So there we go. And pull it through. All right, so the next thing we're going to do is take our tentacles and sew it to this round piece. I like to have it so that this kind of prettier looking side is on the outside and this side will be facing the inside where nobody will ever see it. So I am actually just going to cut this tail right there. Okay, so like this will be the outside, this will be the inside. And we need our knitting needle or our embroidery needle. So we need our fat needle, and we're going to thread it with the tail from the center piece. And the way this is going to work is we have tentacles that are 12 stitches, right? And 6 of them are going to be facing the outside, but we need another 6 to be sewn together. So essentially what's going to happen is you're going to sew 2 stitches to the centerpiece, and then another 2 stitches to the tentacles on either side. So you're going to have 6 stitches total that have been sewn together. So it's going to go like this. So 2, 2, 2, 2, and 2, like that. And I'll show you more slowly, of course, but just to give you an idea of what it is we're doing. So you take your first tentacle, and the one that I like to do is where we slip stitch. I like to have that one facing the inside just because I don't particularly care for the way the slip stitches look when they're facing the outside. So you sew it on like that. Ooh, there's a hair right there. Don't weave your hair in, because that would be creepy. Okay. So we've sewn 1 together, and let me zoom in a little bit so you can see exactly what I'm doing. So we have 1 stitch sewn together. Okay. And now we move into the, let me just make sure of which stitch that I'm doing. Now we move into the stitch next to it and pull it tight and stitch it on to here. And so we have 16 stitches on this round piece. So what's going to happen is you're going to get 2 stitches from every tentacle attached to here. Okay. So now we take this tentacle right here and we move into the next stitch on our first tentacle. So we just went in this stitch and attached it to the centerpiece. Now this stitch on this side is going to attach to the tentacle next to it. And actually, let me zoom out because this is a little too close. Okay, so put it through and then take this one right here sew it through. You know, and it might not be very pretty looking, but that's fine because this is going to face the inside, and once it's done, nobody will ever see it unless, you know, they tear it apart, in which case they'll see it, but at that point it really doesn't matter. All right, so we've just sewed these two together, and I'm actually going to go back through this stitch into this tentacle right here so that I can attach it to the center. So I move into this next stitch right here and attach it. And this, I'm not very good at explaining exactly what I'm doing, I don't think, but it's not as complicated as I am probably making it sound. It's pretty simple what we're doing. So once you get going, you should get the hang of it. Okay, so we've just tacked 2 here, 2 here, and 2 here. I'm just going to pull it really tight. Make sure nothing comes loose. All right, so now we bring in our next tentacle and go through here and here. And so I'll just show you one more time, and then you can go through and do the rest on your own. So now we're just attaching these two like so. And of course, if you have any additional questions, you know, from watching this, you can always, you know, leave me any questions in the comments, and I would be happy to answer them. And actually, if you do have any questions, it's probably best that you do ask, because there are going to be some people who have questions who might not be confident in asking. And you never know, you might be having the same question as like 50 other people. So if you have a question, please ask it, and I will get back to you with it as soon as I can. I'm usually never very far away from my phone, which is part of the reason why any of you who actually have commented and asked me a question, I usually get back to you within like 30 seconds because I am usually right next to my phone, especially on the weekends. So yeah, if you have any questions, don't be afraid to ask. Okay, so I've done 3. Now I'm gonna do the other 5, and I will catch up with you once that is done. Okay, so I've just sewn all 8 on. And so what I meant by 6 stitches together is, if you look here, I've sewn 2 stitches to this centerpiece and 2 stitches to each of the ones on the side, so that these ones on the outside, I have 6 stitches that have not been worked into. So once you kind of sew everything together, you can go back through with your yarn that's still on your hook and just go through one more time and make sure that everything is really sewn together and that nothing is going to come off or come loose. So just go through and one more time, make sure that everything is really sewn on there and sewn together. Again, if it doesn't look very pretty from this side, that's perfectly fine. I mean, and even like from this side, it doesn't have to look fantastic, because I don't think anybody's gonna like go and like look between your octopus's legs and be like, "Wah!" Look at that. So sorry, that was a little weird. But yeah, I don't think anybody's gonna like go and like try and investigate the nether regions of the octopus. Although, fun fact, between an octopus's tentacles is actually its mouth. So this octopus that we're gonna make is not going to be an anatomically correct octopus, because it's going to have a smile sewn on the front of it by its eyes. If it were like an anatomically correct octopus, then its smile would be like right here somewhere. But that's not as cute, so that's not how we're gonna do it. But yeah, just go back through one more time and make sure everything is really secure with whatever remaining yarn you have. And then we will be able to move on. All right, so I finished sewing the tentacles onto this centerpiece right here, and it looks pretty good. So now we're going to move on. Now, as I mentioned before, we have 6 stitches on each tentacle that have been unworked. So we have 6 stitches on each side that we're going to work into. So as we're crocheting around, make sure that each tentacle only gets 6 stitches, because if you have like 7 on one and 4 on the other and 5 over here, you're going to end up with a weird stitch count and it's not going to be symmetrical. So make sure that you're really paying attention to that as we're doing this next portion. But we'll do this first little bit together so that we can make sure everything is exactly the way we need it to be. So what we're gonna do is just pick any of the tentacles, and if you kind of open them up, you can see where you've stitched them together. I've stitched mine right here. You're going to go into the stitch next to that, and that's where you're going to begin. So put it through into your first stitch that has not been worked, and bring back in your main color. In my case, it's pink. And pull it through, and then we're going to chain 1 just to join the yarns together, or to join the tentacles together, or blah, whatever. We're chaining 1. Then in that same stitch where you chained 1, you're going to go back in and single crochet 1, and then pull the yarn tail, and then in the next stitch we're going to do 1. So we're going to do 1 in each stitch around, like I'm doing right now. And so we're going to have 30, or not 36 stitches, we're going to have 48 stitches, because 8 times 6 is 48. So we're going to have 48 stitches. And we're just going to single crochet 1 in each of the free stitches around, and we'll do this completely together, this entire round together, that way there's no confusion. So I've just done 1, 2, 3. So here's 4, and it's probably going to be a little bit difficult to see what I'm doing, but hopefully I can tell you well enough. This is 5, and then the last stitch on this tentacle for 6. And I'm actually going to cut this little tail right here, because that's probably enough weaved into it. All right, so we've just single crocheted 6 on this first tentacle, and now we're going to move on to the next tentacle. Make sure that each tentacle only gets 6. So find where you've sewn them together and go into the stitch next to it. And single crochet 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Now find where you've sewn these 2 tentacles together. Go into the stitch next to it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and go into the next tentacle over for 1, just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, then over to the next tentacle for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and into the next one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, into the next one, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and into this last one, 4, 1, 1, 2, oopsies, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so we've just crocheted everything together, and then in this first stitch on the next tentacle, I'm just going to single crochet 1 just to close everything off. There we go. So we just did our first round like this. And next what we're going to do is we're going to do 9 more rounds, just like this. So you should have 48 stitches. And for the next 9 rounds, we're just going to crochet continuously around for 9 rounds. This last round that we did plus the next 9 will equal 10 rounds. So single crochet around continuously for the next 9 rounds. You can put a piece of yarn in to mark where you started. And make sure that you just do 1 in each stitch for the next 9 rounds, and I will meet you back here when that is done. Okay, so I've just finished the last stitches for my 9 rows. So what I'm going to do now is I'm actually going to pull up my loop pretty far so that nothing comes out. I'm going to take a little piece of yarn. Actually, I changed my mind about how I want to do this. I'm going to take a little piece of yarn and pull it in there so that my stitches can't come out. So now what we're going to do is we're actually going to put our pipe cleaners into our tentacles. So I have 4 kind of long pipe cleaners here, and I'm going to cut them in half. I'm not sure how long these are. These are maybe like 10 inches long or so. But yeah, just cut them in half if you have long ones. Trying to decide what half is. Okay, so now I have 8 kind of equally sized pipe cleaners. And what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to fold them in half like this and then kind of twist the ends together. And I'm going to stick this folded side down into my tentacles. That way the kind of pointier side isn't gonna come out the bottom. And we already padded the inside of the tentacles for that purpose, or actually, sorry. So we're actually gonna, we're actually gonna stick the pointy end down in the bottom because we padded it. And then this other end is gonna be up top. That way it doesn't come out and stab you. Sorry about that. I had a method there thinking, oh yeah, I'm gonna do this in a special way so that nobody gets stabbed. If only I can remember what it is. Okay, so just put them down in there. Oopsie, look. Just make sure that you twist them up really nicely. This is all for the purpose of not getting stabbed. And of course the pipe cleaners are optional, but I like them because they help me kind of pose it just a little bit better. So if you want it to have its tentacles nice and straight, you can have them nice and straight. If you want them to have like 2 of them bent up like it's going yay or something, you can do that. with the help of the pipe cleaners. All right, so we've got all of our pipe cleaners in there, and now what we're going to do is we're going to take some stuffing, or in my case, some yarn scraps, and we're just kind of going to stuff around the pipe cleaners very lightly, because you want your tentacles to have filling in them, but you also want them to be able to bend. So usually what I do is I'll make it so that the pipe cleaner is kind of on this outside edge, and then it's stuffed on the inside. All right, so that's pretty well stuffed enough for now. So just squish around the tentacles and try and adjust anything that needs any adjusting. And then the reason why we have the pipe cleaners in there is so that you can kind of twist it like that and it'll stay. And then you put it back. So that's the reason why we have the pipe cleaners in there. Okay, so once you have the amount of stuffing you want, you can actually take these top parts of the pipe cleaners and fold them down so that they're not sticking up. So just fold them down over the stuffing. Like so. And then you can come back through here and just kind of massage everything and make sure that it looks the way you want it to. Sometimes you get it where you can kind of see where you've increased, and that can be fixed by just kind of pulling it and wiggling the stuffing around a little bit. This kind of looks like milking a cow a little bit, but okay. So now that that's all ready, we are going to go back to crocheting. So take your yarn that you're using to hold your loop, pull it up. I'm actually just going to put that right there. So now we are going to do a decrease round. We're going to decrease from 48 stitches to 42 stitches. And the way we're going to do that is we're going to decrease on every multiple of 8. So we're going to single crochet 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then 7 and 8 are going to be crocheted together. So we go in through the front loop of number 7 and in through the front loop of number 8, yarn over, pull your yarn through, and single crochet 1. And we've just decreased 1. And again, if you are new to this and you want to see how to decrease in more detail, you can refer to my basic stitches for amigurumi video. The link is down in the description. And that video will kind of give you a slow motion guide of how to do this. So we just decreased in 7 and 8. Then we single crochet in 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, and then 15 and 16 are decreased together. So through the front loop of 15 and through the front loop of 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, and then 23 and 24 are decreased together. So through the front loop of 23 and the front loop of 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, and then 31 and 32 are crocheted together. So through the front loop of 31 and the front loop of 32. 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, and then 39 and 40 are decreased together. So through the front loop of 39 and the front loop of 40. 41, 42, 43, 44, 45, 46, and then 47 and 48 are going to be our last decrease for this round. So through the front loop of 47 and the front loop of 48. So we just did our first decrease round. Now we're going to do a couple rounds of just crocheting continuously around. So we're going to crochet continuously around for 3 rounds, and you should have 42 stitches here. So crochet around 1 in each stitch for the next 3 rounds. So for 3 rounds, that would be 126 stitches. 42 times 3 is 126. So for the next 126 stitches, you can crochet continuously around, or you can put in a stitch marker so that you don't have to count to 126. So crochet 1 in each stitch for the next 3 rounds. 1, 2. Okay, so I just came to my last stitches, and so I'm going to pull up my yarn and stick this other piece of yarn through and pull it tight. Oopsies. And pull it tight so that nothing comes out. And now we're going to sew on the smile and put on the eyes, but we're going to do the smile first. So you need to take your black yarn and your knitting needle and thread your yarn through. And I like to put the smile in a place that's kind of like right between the tentacles or right in front of the tentacles. That way it's not like kind of like asymmetrical, I guess. So I'm going to put, let's see. So from here it's actually going to start closing. So I think I'm going to put my smile right here. So into here and then up over here. Ooh. And there's my smile. There we go. So my smile's all in, and I'm just going to break this yarn and tie it so that my smile doesn't come out. And then I'm gonna cut this kind of longer tail because my octopus is kind of a light color and I don't want that showing through. Hide that in the center. Here we go, smile. Okay, so the next thing that we need are our safety eyes. So I've got my 12mm safety eyes right here. You can use whatever size you like. If you want them a little smaller or a little bigger, you can do whatever you like. And I'm gonna put these in the row above where the smile starts. Let me just, and you can put them kind of wherever you like. There's no rule for it. There's no like formula for cuteness. So just make sure that they're the same distance on both sides. So I have 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Yeah. So you don't want one eye that's like way off to the side and one that's like super close to the smile. So 1, 2, 3, and 1, 2, 3. So I've actually got mine sewn in the 5th stitch from the mouth, but I only have 3, 1, 2, 3 visible stitches. So the eye is in the 5th stitch and it covers the 4th stitch. So that's where I'm gonna keep mine. I think it looks nice and cute right there. And once you have where you like it, you just put the backs on. Remember, as always, don't get any stuffing in the back. Don't get the side of it in the back. Make sure everything is completely clear before you press your back on, because once it goes on, it is not coming off. There we go. And one extra thing that I'm gonna do, because I think it just looks so super cute, is I'm going to take my pink yarn. I'm gonna thread my pink yarn and I'm gonna sew on just like a little blushy cheeks right there, because I think that looks so cute. So you just go in, kinda. So I'm going in like right under the center of where the eye starts, and just like 2 stitches across is probably fine for that. And this part is optional, you don't have to do it. I just think it looks cute. Ah, so cute. Okay. And on the next side, and there we go. Ooh, that looks cute. Okay, so that's all done. And then I'm going to cut this yarn and loosely tie it. Doesn't have to be very tight. And then just shove that down into the middle. Alrighty, so we got the face sewn on, yay! Okay, so now pull up your loop so we can begin to crochet again. Where did I put my hook? Right over here. Okay, so now we are going to do another decrease round, and from here on out all of the rounds are going to be decrease rounds. So we're going to decrease from 42 stitches to 36 stitches, so we're going to decrease on every multiple of 7. So we single crochet 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then 6 and 7 are decreased together. So put your hook through the front loop of number 6 and the front loop of number 7 and crochet them together. Then we have 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and then 13 and 14 are crocheted together. So through the front loop of 14 and, front loop of 13 and front loop of 14. And then 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, and then 20 and 21 are decreased together. So put your hook through the front loop of number 20 and through the front loop of 21, pull your yarn through and single crochet. 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, and then 27 and 28 are decreased together. So put your hook through the front loop of 27 and the front loop of 28. 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, then 34 and 35 are decreased together. So through the front loop of 34 and the front loop of 35. 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, and then 41 and 42 are our last decrease for this round. So put your hook through the front loop, front loop of 41 and the front loop of 42, and single crochet. One thing also, I think I mentioned this earlier, is try not to crochet your hair into this. My hair is like everywhere for some reason. Try not to crochet your hair into it because that'll be kind of creepy for like the person you're giving it to. Like, here you go, it's made from my hair, you know. So try and avoid that. All right, so now we have 36 stitches and we're gonna do another decrease round where we decrease from 36 to 24 stitches, or sorry, 36 to 30 stitches. So we're gonna decrease on every multiple of 6. So we're gonna decrease at 6, 12, 18, 24, sorry, 6, 12, 18, 24, and 30. 30 and 36, there we go. So we single crochet. Okay, let's try that again. So we single crochet 1, 2, 3, 4, then 5 and 6 are decreased together. So through the front loop of 5 and the front loop of 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, then 11 and 12 are decreased together. 13, 14, 15, 16, then 17 and 18 are decreased together. 19, 20, 21, 22, then 23 and 24 are decreased together. 25, 26, 27, 28, then 29 and 30 are decreased together. 31, 32, 33, 34, and then 35 and 36 are our last decreases for this round. Alrighty, so we have just gone from 36 stitches to 30 stitches. And as you can see, it's starting to close up at the top a little bit. Alright, so next we're going to decrease from 30 to 24 stitches. So we're going to decrease on every multiple of 5. So we're going to decrease at 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, and 30. Alright, so we single crochet 1, 2, 3, and then 4 and 5 are decreased together. So 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, then 9 and 10 are decreased together. 9 and 10, 11, 12, 13, then 14 and 15 are decreased together. 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, then 19 and 20 are decreased together. So we have 19, 20. There we go. 21, 22, 23, then 24 and 25 are decreased together. 26, 27, 28, and then 29 and 30 are our last decrease for this round. Okay. So we've just gone from 30 stitches to 24 stitches. Now from here on out, when we do our decrease, we're actually gonna do something that normally you shouldn't do in crochet, which is to pull it really tight. Because if we don't do that, it's going to kind of show a little bit and it's not gonna look very good at the top. Normally our decrease rounds are at the bottom. For like any of my other tutorials, all of the decreases are at the bottom, so it doesn't really matter. But in this case, it's at the top, and we want the top to look nice. So we're gonna kind of do it a special way. So now we're gonna decrease from 24 stitches down to 18 stitches. So we're gonna decrease on every multiple of 4. So we single crochet 1, 2, then 3 and 4 are going to be decreased together. So put your hook through the front loop of number 3 and the front loop of number 4, and then single crochet, but pull it kind of tight. And then in the next stitch, which is number 5, we also pull that one kind of tight as well. Then we have 6, and then 7 and 8 are single crochet together. And pull it nice and tight. And then number 9 is also nice and tight. And then 10, nice and tight. And then 11 and 12 are single crocheted together. And again, tight. And then 13, all of them nice and tight. 13, 14, then 15 and 16 are crocheted together. 17, 18, then 19 and 20 are decreased together. 21, 22, then 23 and 24 go together, nice and tight for everything. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 17, 18. Sorry, somehow I ended up with 19 stitches. I must have missed my count somehow, but that's all right. I'll just decrease one more time and we should be good. Yeah, so you can count and make sure if you find that your decreases are not where you wanted them to be, or you don't have the stitch count that you want, just go through and repeat the pattern one more time until you have the number of stitches that you need. I must have miscounted somewhere. I don't remember where. Okay, so now I'm gonna pull up this loop nice and high, and we're actually gonna stuff the inside right now before the top gets so closed off that we can't really get any. So take your toy stuffing or your yarn scraps. I have tons of yarn scraps in my case. And stuff everything. Okay, so I got that nice and stuffed. I think that's a good amount. Okay. And now we're going to do our last decrease round. We're going to decrease from 18 to 12, and we're going to decrease on every multiple of 3. So we single crochet 1, and remember to pull it nice and tight. Then decrease on 2 and 3. And again, pulling everything really tight. Oh wait, I gotta do that one again. Okay, nice and tight, so 2 and 3 together. Then 4, and then 5 and 6 go together. 5 and 6 decrease together. 7, 8, and 9 are decreased together. 10. Then 11 and 12 are decreased together. 13, and then 14 and 15 are decreased together. And it's actually kind of hard to do this once everything's stuffed. Right. And then 16, and then 17 and 18 are decreased together. So 17 and 18. Nice and tight. Okay. Still a little bit open at the top, but what we're going to do now is we're actually just going to sew this shut so that it sews up and shuts nice and pretty. So take a little bit of yarn, cut it, and then thread your needle. Okay. And we're going to go through here like that. All right, so now we're going to go pretty much like we're decreasing, except we're just going to do it with the needle. So put your needle through the front loop of 1 and the front loop of 2 and pull on them. Then go through the front loop of 3 and the front loop of 4. Pull them together. Then through the front loop of 5 and the front loop of 6. Pull them together. And the front loop of 7 and the front loop of 8. Pull them together. 9 and 10, and it gets a little harder as you get closer to the end. And then 11 and 12. Alrighty, all shut. And now we just weave our yarn tails into the body. To make sure nothing comes loose. And then we can cut it. Alrighty, and then you just kind of manipulate everything and roll it around until it looks good. Everything's all nice and evenly stuffed. Alrighty, so that's what that looks like for now. And then you can, like, since we've got the pipe cleaners in here, you can fold them out like this. So it looks like that. So cute. Okay, and I've got the prototype that I made here, which has like a lot bigger head. So I kind of like this one a lot more than this one. Here we go. All right, so now we're gonna sew on some spots. I've actually already made a couple spots, so I'm gonna show you how to make the spots once, and we're gonna make spots in several different sizes, but I'm gonna show you one size. I'm gonna show you the biggest size and tell you where to stop when you wanna make smaller ones. So, normally, you know, the suction cups and stuff on an octopus would be like at the bottom, but that would be a lot. So I'm just gonna sew like 4 that I'm gonna put kind of arrange in the top right here. You can do it however you like. All right, so to sew the spots, we need to take our yarn of our darker color, or whatever color you want the spots to be. And as always, we're going to make a slip knot. And then we are going to chain 4. So chain 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then we're going to slip stitch in this first chain to join them together. And then, as always, we are going to single crochet 6 into the center. So single crochet 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Now at this point, if you wanted a tiny spot, just the smallest spot you can make, you would slip stitch into the next stitch and be done with it. And this is where you would stop for a very small one. If you want a slightly bigger one, we're going to continue on to the next part, which is to increase in every stitch. So we're going to increase from 6 stitches to 12 stitches. So put your hook through this first single crochet and single crochet 1, and in that same stitch increase for 2. In the next stitch is 3, and our increase in the same stitch for 4. In the next stitch is 5, and in that same stitch our increase for 6. In the next stitch is 7, and our increase for 8. In the next stitch is 9, and our increase for 10. In the next stitch is 11, and our increase for 12. There we go. So if you wanted kind of like a medium-sized spot, this is where you would stop. You would slip stitch into this next stitch and be done. Now if you want a large spot, we will do another increase round. So this time we're going to increase from 12 stitches to 18 stitches, and we're going to increase on every multiple of 3. So you single crochet 1, and then in the next stitch is 2, and our increase for 3. In the next stitch is 4. Next is 5, and in that same stitch our increase for 6. 7, 8, and in that same stitch our increase for 9. 10, 11, and in the same stitch our increase for 12. 13, 14, and in the same stitch our increase for 15. 16, 17, and in the same stitch our increase for 18. And that's the big spot. So now we slip stitch, and we have just made a spot. So I'm just going to cut it. Okay, and since I am going to super glue on my spots, I'm not going to sew on my spots because I prefer the way they look when they don't have kind of the puckering from sewing. I'm going to super glue my spots on. Because I'm going to do that, I'm actually going to sew this tail into the spot. Oh my gosh, my dog has the hiccups. So my dog is sleeping behind me and he just started hiccuping. I don't know if you can hear it. Okay. And that's good enough, so I'm gonna cut that there and cut the tail off, and I'm gonna cut this other tail off in here too. And so that is one spot. So you can repeat this portion of the tutorial for as many times as you like until you have the desired number of spots. And I am going to make, let's see, I have one spot here. And then I've got another spot like that and another spot like this. So I'm probably gonna make one more spot. So I'm gonna make 4. But you can make as many as you like, and I will meet you back here when we are done. All right, so I have all the spots made that I'm going to use. And now we're just going to glue them onto our octopus. If you want to sew them, you can sew them. That's perfectly fine. I just prefer the way they look when they are glued. So the way you would sew them on is there's no real secret to it. Just kind of find an arrangement that you like and sew them on. I think I'm gonna do mine like that with the 2 kind of like that. Yeah, that's probably a good way to do it. All right, so I'll sew this little one on first. Actually, I'm going to straighten these out. Okay, so you take your super glue if you're gluing them on. And just on the side that you're gonna glue, get a good coating on there and just stick it on. Okay, those are on nice and tight. Alrighty, and we are all done. That is it. So you can just kind of bend the tentacles into whatever shape you like. Ooh, so there it is. Finished product. So as always, if you like this video, don't forget to press up the thumbs up button and subscribe for more awesome tutorials. Again, I will have written instructions on my Tumblr blog, so you can look at the written instructions if you would prefer to do that. And don't forget to subscribe for more awesome tutorials. Thanks so much for watching.